piece of legislation, I have a very difficult time believing that this is in our best interest. This, to me, is one large government mandate on changing the delivery system of health care from what a majority of Americans want, but would like to have minor reforms in cost, to a scenario where you're losing your flexibility and your ability to make choices about your care. And you're transferring that responsibility to the federal government. I don't believe that that's in the best interest of our country, of our state, of consumers, of employers. As a matter of fact, as we look at the Congressional Budget Office, the independent entity that looks at the pieces of legislation to determine what the costs are, they state that this is going to cost $1 trillion, and if all of the cost reductions go through, it'll still cost taxpayers in new taxes almost $600 billion. And I don't think that in a time when we have debts and deficits that continue to rise, when we have the unemployment rate in our country that just eclipsed 10% to now 10.2%, this is the solution that American families are striving for. As I talk with people in our district, here in our city, people want solutions that are going to improve their opportunity to secure and keep a job, for opportunities that are going to ensure their own personal ability to make decisions about every area of their lives, not just healthcare, but every area of their lives. And I think we're at a critical point in our country where Americans are voicing their concerns, but I don't believe that Congress is listening. And evidence of that is that they're going to continue to look to vote on this bill, despite the fact that almost every state in the country, surveys and polls show that the American public is against it. That's not representative government. Now, there are people among us who disagree about the type of reform that we need, and I'm happy to talk about those positions and those differences. There are those in our state who believe that this is a well thought out plan that is in the best interest of our state and of our country. And while I disagree with that position, I'm willing to listen to opposing points of view. For the last 4 years, I've served as mayor of this great city. And rightly or wrongly, eventually you have to make decisions. You're not going to make everybody happy. But one thing I hope is that people at least respect and understand through the justifications of the decisions that I've had to make. But paramount is that you give people the option and the access when you're making those decisions and when you are trying to do the best to appeal to constituencies and to support the things that people want you to do as they are elected, whether it's mayor, congressman, or governor, or senator. And I'm disappointed that in the course of the last 6 months, we have had very limited access to our member of Congress. I did get this in the mail, which was an update from my congressman on health care reform. This was paid by taxpayer money that told me that this piece of legislation that they're considering is in my best interest. And my wife got the same one, same piece of mail, to the same household. This is the government that wants to run our health care. Sends 2 pieces of mail identical to the same household to convince us that this health care bill is the right bill for America. Now, I have a concern with that. I want my member of Congress communicating with me, but I certainly don't need the same identical piece of mail coming to my home and telling me and my wife that the bill my congressman supports is the right bill. What I would appreciate is an ability to sit in a town hall meeting and ask questions of my member of Congress and have a dialogue about the piece of legislation and convey to my member of Congress the set of principles that make sense for New Hampshire. And I'd like to see those points incorporated into a bill or legislation filed that's in the best interest of New Hampshire. That's what a New Hampshire representative is supposed to do. So I was naturally disappointed when our member of Congress stood with Nancy Pelosi to introduce this new piece of legislation last week. Now, we have disagreements on how to improve health care. But I'm here for the second time asking people their opinion, asking what you believe should be components of a reform bill. And unfortunately, most of us weren't granted access to the town hall meetings that our member of Congress had in federal buildings. To me, New Hampshire has an expectation that you have direct access to your elected representation, whether it's at the state level, whether it's at the local level, or whether it's at the federal level. I think most people in New Hampshire, regardless of party affiliation, believe in local control, in access to your representatives, and to ensure that New Hampshire values and the New Hampshire way of doing things is promoted in Concord at the state level and in Washington at the federal level. And I think it's time that we continue to send a message that, as I believe, this bill is not in our best interest. But I want to hear from people in this city and in this district who want to convey their opinions about this bill. I want to hear what you would like to see in terms of health care reform. And I'd like to make sure that whether we agree or disagree, you have a voice and you have a perspective that's respected. Because to me, that's how government can work for your behalf instead of against you.